Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over the upcoming maintenance that is happening later tonight around 9 or 10 p.m. EST, my time, and then it goes until about 3 o'clock in the morning for me. I personally probably won't be staying up for it, and I will be going over why I'm not going to be staying up for this maintenance. But anyways, let's get right into it. So this upcoming maintenance is going to feature the Summer Treasure Part 1 event quest. So it's just going to be like your standard event banner quest where you can earn and farm event currency to exchange for goods, just like any normal event. And then with the event comes a new featured banner unit, and that is Summer Fen. Summer Fen is a support unit through and through, although in terms of a support unit, he's a little interesting, and we'll get into that after I go over his kit. But anyways, he has a 6-star up to 6-star physical slot, 5-star heal slot, and then a 4-star support slot that can be turned into a 4-star defense slot if you LB7 this unit, which I don't recommend at all, because 1, he's just not worth it, and 2, the defense slot on him just isn't worth it. I'd highly recommend having the 4-star support slot rather than the 4-star defensive slot, but that's just me personally. His skill is a 10-second cooldown, does 2400 water damage physical, and then heals all allies HP by 15%. His arts does 15,000% water damage physical for 20 seconds, increases own heal equipment cooldown speed by 40%, and heal amount by 60%. His true arts does 75,000 water damage physical for 25 seconds, reduces enemies crit res by 100% and evasion rate by 40%. Then his super arts does 120,000% water damage physical for 30 seconds, reduces enemies water res by 100%. For 60 seconds, increases own art gauge by 8. With the passives that at the start of a quest increases own art gauge by 100 and then increases own art gauge by 1 every time this unit is hit. Then increases own burn res by 100% and then increases own crit damage by 150%. In terms of whether or not you should summon on this banner, I'm gonna say it's a fat no. Even if you're a vet or a new player or anywhere in between, I'd say I would not recommend dumping your crystals on this unit, just because even like his banner isn't really that great. Like in terms of like other units that you can get, there's no other like ascended units on there. All of the units that are on his banner are kind of meh. And then I would say if you wanted to just summon one time on the Alk banner, and that's it. I'd say throw like 5,000 Alk at him. If you get him, cool. If you don't, cool. Move on. I only say this because the next crossover after Kill Kill and after what I think is this summer event that is happening is over, there's a good chance that they could just drop Fate like right off the bat, and you want to save as many crystals as you can for Fate because you want to go all in on Fate no matter who you are. If you're a new player, if you're a veteran, you just want to go all in on Fate because every single one of the new summer Fate units are kind of busted in their own way. But even his Alk banner is not really that great. I mean, you have like Est and Sandstone on there, and like that's about it. Even like Light Celia's on there, but she's just kind of outdated. So even his Alk banner is not really that great, which is why I say just do the 5,000 Alk and then dip, and I just wouldn't even waste any crystals on it. I wouldn't even do like the free multi on him, to be honest. So fat skip on this banner. So the second part of the maintenance is featuring the 2 new ascended units from KLK Part 2. And if you haven't heard or are living under a rock, then you might know that KLK Part 2 is nowhere near as hyped as KLK Part 1. And that's because the units in Part 1 are just kind of like a lot better, I guess. Like you have Holka, which is at the moment probably close to the #1 unit in the game. And then you have Uzu, which surprised everyone with just how much damage you could do with him. So those 2 units just kind of like stole the spotlight just a little bit. But we will be going over the 2 units from Part 2 and what my thoughts are. So we'll get into that now. So for Nonon, she is the first unit. She's a light unit. She has a 6-star magic slot, 5-star support slot, and then a 4-star heal slot that can be turned into a 4-star support slot. In terms of whether or not you should LB6 her, don't waste any expert LB stones on her, or LB7 her, sorry. Don't waste expert LB stones on her. If you happen to get a dupe of her, then great, then you can LB her into herself, but I wouldn't waste any expert LB stones on her. Her skill does 2000 light damage magical for 8 seconds, increases own arts by 4 arts a second. Additionally, increases own arts by 20 if the skill hits the boss. 1 hit, obviously. Has a 13-second cooldown. Her arts does 25% light, or 25,000% light damage magical. Each time own arts is used, permanently increases light allies damage by 40% with a max of 200%. True Arts does 70,000% light damage magical, increases own damage against non-boss enemies by 200% for the duration of own True Arts. For 35 seconds, increases allies attack by 100%. Her Super Arts does 160,000% light damage magical. For 25 seconds, reduces enemies magic res by 130% and break resistance by 50%. Her passive at the start of a battle/wave increases light allies and human allies arts by 25. So if they're a light and human, then they get 50 at each wave. Does not stack with abilities with the same name, obviously. And then increases own damage by 2 times own attack by divided by 100%. And then increases own HP recovery by 10%. And then that's it for her kit. So Nonon, to me, pretty interesting character. I don't know how I personally feel about her. I think she's trying to do too much specific stuff. I wish she was just a little bit more global to the team. So not just focusing heavily on humans, not just focusing heavily on light units. Overall, Nonon's kind of a meh for me. I'd say she's probably like a 6 out of 10, to be honest. Gamagoori, a man that wants to do it all. So he is a dark unit. He has a 6-star, up to 6-star defensive slot, 5-star physical slot, and then a 4-star defensive slot that can be turned into a 4-star support slot if you LB7 him. I would definitely not LB7 this unit at all. Even if you get multiple units, maybe you want to combine them both, that's cool, but I would not try to LB7 this unit at all. Not worth. His skill is a 12-second cooldown, does 3,000% dark damage physical, increases own arts by 40. His arts does 25,000% dark damage physical. For 15 seconds, reduces enemies' dark resistance by 50%. True Arts does 50,000% dark damage physical. For 30 seconds, consumes 2% per second of own max HP. For 40 seconds, increases own physical resistance by 30%. And redirects allies' damage taken to self and gains a damage barrier that negates 35,000 damage to self. Super Arts does 150,000% dark damage physical, ignores 100% of the enemy's defense for the duration of Super Arts. For 40 seconds, increases own freeze res and paralysis res by 100%. His passive increases own damage the lower HP he has at a max of 200%. When taking lethal damage for the first time, heals own HP by 50%, so this will act as like a one-time auto revive. When near death, increases own equipment CT by 20%, and then when near death, increases own damage resistance by 20%. So another interesting unit. I think he's trying to do too much. Like, he doesn't know if he wants to be a taunt tank or if he wants to be a full-blown attacker. He's kind of trying to do both in here, and his kit kind of allows him to as well. I mean, like, his True Arts, you know, gains a 35k taunt tank barrier, right? Granted, it consumes own HP by 2% a second, but you kind of want him to be at low HP. So the only downside to this is that most people are going to have / going to want a healer of some sort on their team, which is basically going to counteract Gamagoori's whole kit. Basically, like 80% of his kit will just become useless if you have a healer on your team. And 35k damage is not enough to justify not having a healer, if that makes any sense. I'd say Gamagoori, in my opinion, is probably like a 7 or 8 out of 10. So yeah. In terms of should you summon on this banner, I'd say you could throw like a multi at the KLK part 2. I wouldn't go any deeper though. And that's it. I think the only thing I forgot to cover in this are the part 2 equips. Just to give you a brief summary of all of them. Not really worth, to be honest. I mean, you have 2 okay defensive equipment. You have an okay attack equipment and an okay support equipment, but even the support equipment is kind of like outshined by a lot of other equipment in the game. And then same thing with the defensive equipment. Like, I wouldn't really dump too much into part 2 equipment, in my opinion. They're good in their own like unique like situations, I guess, but in terms of overall, part 1 just takes the cake in terms of equipment and units, which is unfortunate. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I know it was a little bit longer of a video, but I like to give kind of a more in-depth analysis on everything that's coming up rather than just like speeding through or summarizing. But yeah, without yapping any further, I will see you all in the next video. Later.